I don't like what the Americans did to us. I don't like what the Canadians did to us. I don't like how the Canadians treat us. I don't like how the Americans are treating our people on that side of the border. We drive out here 2 miles off of our road and the cops hate us. They're gonna pull us over because they saw us leave here. They know I'm from here. Just to whatever. Why? Why pull me over? Why? Because it's for the color of my skin. We all know why. But they're gonna make up some stupid remark. They sit right on the boundary and they pull us over.
Both Canada and the United States have disgraceful histories of mistreatment of Indigenous peoples. War, disease, and starvation resulted in the deaths of tens of millions of Indigenous people across the Americas. With nearly 97% of their land lost, they were forced onto remote reserves. In many areas, they were forbidden from leaving the reserve without a special pass. Their children were forcibly removed and placed in residential schools designed to remove the Indian from the child. There are reserves all across Canada and the United States, which means we are all living right in their backyards. Akwesasne straddles both sides of the border, and Ganawage is right off the island of Montreal. Both communities are home to members of the Ganyagehega, or Mohawk Nation, and in spite of these very difficult histories, many of them, even those who are Canadian citizens, proudly serve in the American military.
We have a long history of going to war. And
When
if
you
you
say
look,
we
the Mohawks have a long history all over the place. Even as far as the Battle of Little Bighorn, there's Mohawks there. I always say, well, if there's a war, the Mohawks are going to be there someplace. You know, there's always, for some reason, and wherever we travel, we always found another Mohawk. They say, what are you doing here? I don't know. That's what we do.
I was deployed to Vietnam in 1967 for 13 months.
Well, I went to Carolinas, did my boot camp there, and advanced infantry training in North Carolina, and then I went to Camp Pendleton, California. Did more training, and then I went to Okinawa, did more training, and then I went to Vietnam.
Well, my dad was a Korean vet. He was a young man when he joined. He was only 16, but lied about his age. And he went into the US Air Force. But they drove over the border to Plattsburgh, New York, and they went to the recruiting center there.
While he was there in Saudi Arabia, you went to first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it turned into Operation Desert Storm.
Well, my dad was a Kotak. And here when he went to school, he got punished for speaking Mohawk in school. So then they go to war, right? Then they end up, some sergeant in World War II said, hey, these guys can talk a language that nobody can understand. The Germans picked it up, but they couldn't understand that. They couldn't, what's this language these guys are talking? You get punished for using your language here, then you go to a big war, and then they use you.
While enslavement, genocide, the Trail of Tears, Manifest Destiny, forced assimilation, and residential and boarding schools have defined Indigenous history, these sins are not a thing of the distant past. The last residential school in Canada didn't close until 1996, and in 1990, the Oka crisis was yet another attempt to take sacred native land.
That residential school, it's actively separated and segregated our own people here.
These were not orphans, these children. These were children who had parents at home. This is children who were being taken for the genocidal purpose of indoctrination.
It was church ran, it was government sponsored, it was, we'll make the man or the woman out of these Indian kids. They were stripped of their culture, they were forced into labor, they were abused emotionally, physically, sexually, with no recourse. It was a church ran, government sponsored Holocaust, if you put it that way.
We moved into this house, and then we had 1990. We were blockaded in. In Gunnisadaga, the non-natives were taking over to extend their golf club. They were going onto a burial ground. And then in July, they started to have more trouble over there with the SQ. It really became violent over there, so we closed down the bridge. In closing down the bridge, the SQ are the one that blocked the other side and all our entrances. 3 entrances, 132, 138, and 207, and the bridge. The SQ and the Army are the ones that blocked us in. So we were stuck here, and it was a hardship. It was a hardship for the town, for the people that were sick, and it was a hardship to get food. So it was a bad time for everybody, you know, but it wasn't us that blocked the bridge. We marched on the bridge just to show alliance with our sister reserve, but the SQ, they're the ones that blocked us. We couldn't get out. They wanted to try and control and say, you're only a reserve, and they can do what they want with us.
Right here down the road, they put a rifle to my head.
He had a hard time because he would go out and he said, everybody wants me to carry a gun, and he says, I can't carry a gun. And I told him,
When I left Vietnam, when I left the service, I said I would never carry a rifle again because I used it. Now I know what it did. Today, I will not use a rifle.
Given this history, why would Indigenous people choose to serve the governments that mistreated their people?
There's some people here in our own town that you know, they just don't believe they're traditional. They don't believe in anything like this, and they would never ever join the armed forces and stuff like that. And I often joke with them, and I tell them, I'm like, look, you know, don't be so high strung on, you know, our tradition and the longhouse and stuff like that. I mean, they're proud people. They're proud of what they believe in, as a Catholic is proud of their church, and a Protestant. You know, don't be so hard on us. You know, not hard. I don't know if that's maybe a strong word, but some people are just saying, you know, what'd you go do that for? Why you go fight that white man's war?
They just felt it was something they had to do to protect the homeland, the territory, the reservation, and help out the United States. I guess that's what Dad told me. He says, you know, he just didn't want any trouble coming over here. I don't know.
It seems complex to the non-native society, perhaps, but for us, they're fighting for their true homeland. This is their true land. So for them to fight was bringing forward their warrior spiritual strength to do the work that they believe needed to be done.
I think we've always pledged allegiance to being Mohawk and having the freedom to go back and forth across the border. I don't think any of us joined to say we're pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. You know, we did it because we gave our word. That's the way we were brought up.
You're a young Mohawk person, and we took the challenge. And I guess we were like warriors back then. Would you say that, or I don't know? It's just something that you see if you can do it.
We're not Canadians and we're not Americans. We're North American. I think that has a lot to do with it, that they want to serve in the military over there because to show that we're North American.
Veterans Coming Home is made possible with support from Casella Resource Solutions and the Cloudsplitter Foundation.